Hello and welcome back. Today I'm analyzing the 3 Blitz games that I played on my last live stream, which should be in the previous video. Hopefully you've already seen it. If not, this is the first game, or a position reached by move 24. I was playing with the black pieces. It started with the Scandinavian defense, which has been my go-to opening for black against e4. Here I had worked up quite a significant advantage. As you can see from the engine's evaluation, 8.1 is a pretty good advantage. And here I knew a move or two ago that white was going to move this knight out of the way as a discovered attack on my queen. And my idea was just to move the queen out of the way. The problem here is that I moved it to the wrong spot. Now, the engine, surprisingly, has really surprised me. It's saying just capture the knight. Give up the queen. I haven't followed that through very far because I don't think I would ever do that in a game. Especially in a game where I have 16 seconds left. You can't see the clocks here, but I had 16.9 seconds left in this game. Maybe if I had 30 minutes to sit at a table and analyze all the possible ramifications, as the engine did in a few seconds, I would understand I can take this, I can let them take my queen, I'll take the rook back and have control of an open file, and then that knight that I've put there is protected and somehow I'm still winning. I probably will never see that. The second best move for me was queen to a5. I will probably not see that because, yes, it's kind of a safe spot for the queen and it protects the knight, but it doesn't really do much. This pawn is protected. This knight is protected. The queen's now out of the action. So I don't know where a good place that I would have seen in the game that I should have moved it. But what I did was that, which it leaves the knight unguarded, and then I have to move my queen again on the next turn. And so I still have a slight advantage despite that blunder, but then here I just clean gave up my queen. And they took it, so it was over at that point, so I resigned. Also, I had 8 seconds left. I could have let time run out, but if you know you're lost and you have time to resign, it seems like that's the more polite thing to do. I was going to lose anyway. But yeah, I definitely could have done better on that last move. It says again to go to a5. It says try to queen whatever, but that's how I lost that game. Let's go look at game 2. Here's a position in game 2 reached after 28 moves. Here I have, again, a significant advantage. This is after I opened with the London system. And my opponent at this point has gone back to attack my passed pawn. Now, what I should do here is capture the knight. That's my best move according to the engine. Because a knight's more important than a pawn, even a passed pawn. This pawn is blockaded anyway. If I take the knight, they're probably going to take back. And then I can, I guess, go about my business, but I don't know if I would have seen that because I was worried about the pawn. It also says I can take my rook down to a8, but I'm not sure what that would accomplish. I would still lose the pawn. It says I can then take the knight. It even says I can play knight to b3. I guess then after they take here, then I don't know. What I did was go down to guard the pawn. That took away all of my advantage, and we were going to have a pretty tough game at that point. However, here my opponent blundered and gave the advantage back to me. I know what they were doing. They were going for the rook, which needs to stay here to guard the pawn, they think. But then here I can just promote to a queen with check. When they take it, then I win the rook for free. Those arrows are all kind of crossing each other, but surely, you see if I queen here and they capture it, then I win the rook for free. And not for free, for a pawn. But that's pretty good. But I didn't do that either. That's an instructive moment in this game. I did not that good of a move. I lost, a little bit. But the game went on. The next point, which is crucial, I think, it was here, where I should have gone there. They've just put this knight here, and I could have pinned it to the rook, right? Then the knight's basically stuck, or the rook's stuck defending the knight. Both, if they move the knight, I get the rook. If they move the rook, I get the knight. That would have been a good move. I didn't see that. I also didn't see coming down here to attack the rook from behind. And I didn't see h4, which is the other suggested move. I did this. And that took away, it surprisingly didn't take away all of my advantage. But here, I gave away the rest of my advantage by not taking back with the knight. I took back with the pawn, which made it an even game. And then the one more point in this game was important, and that's right here, where I should go here. And that's cool because it would guard this spot. So the king can't escape from that spot. Right? If I move this up, then on my next move I can put the knight here. The pawn is pinned. So the knight would be check. The king would have to go down there someplace. Well, it couldn't go down there. It would have to go in the corner. And that would be pretty cool. But I didn't see the pawn move, and I didn't see anything else, and instead I thought I could check with this pawn pinned. But now the king can come here because my pawn hasn't moved up yet. So I have to run away with the rook. But anyway, that's why I lost game 2, because I had, as you saw, 3 different places where I could have just run away with it. But I didn't see the moves that were best. Off camera, I'm going to take a little bit more time and look at those ideas, those positions, and see what it is about them that it's going to take me a while. I'm going to try to see, because some of those moves I don't think I would see, but especially in a fast game. Here, I had 11 seconds left. So yeah, that's another reason, I guess, that I should stop playing Blitz. Let's go look at game 3. This is a position reached in game 3 after about 24 moves, in which I have a slight advantage, and I'm needing to recapture this pawn at this point. I really couldn't tell the difference between taking with the rook or taking with the queen, but it turns out there's a pretty big difference. Taking with the queen is the top engine move, and the only things that I can think of is that pins this knight to the queen, so that if the knight moves, then I'll be able to trade queens down there. It also hits this pawn, perhaps, but what I did was take with the rook, so that gave away my advantage. I think, what I was thinking here was that after that, not only is the rook protected, but my plan was to bring this rook over here, which I did eventually get to. But, that turns out to be a pretty bad move. I guess because the knight can go here and immediately threaten my rook. I don't know what I would have done in that case. I guess I'd just bring it back. But my opponent didn't do that. They moved that pawn. Not sure why they were blocking in their own bishop, but and here I blundered again. But I mean, that was part of my plan, right? To double these rooks, and then I want to come barreling through here. Also, I know that this knight can't get out right now. Maybe that was the reason for that pawn move. But I thought I was according to my plan. I didn't realize I'd given away that much advantage. But here again, the engine wants my opponent to threaten my front rook with that, which I don't think would have helped because I still would have come barreling through. Regardless, they didn't do it. And now here it says you definitely should come barreling through, but I thought I should take a pawn out with me. Since I'm going to lose the knight anyway, I did that. Yeah, so we went back and forth here with near the end. And the really crucial moment in the game came after this blunder by my opponent. The reason this is a blunder is because they thought they were revealing this attack on my queen, and it's protected. I guess they thought that was good for them, and then they're also hitting the rook. But I didn't see that. I just saw this, and yeah, so that's where that game ended. I had plenty of time left in this game, actually. How long did it take me? It took me 3 seconds to make that rook move. So that's what we learned here. In 2 of these games, I gave away my queen. In one of them, I was in time trouble, but in this one, I was not. So we're going to take all this in. We're gonna soak it in. And yes, I did lose 3 Blitz games in a row on my second live stream, but that's okay. On my first Twitch stream, I won 4 in a row. So, but maybe, it kind of evens out in the end. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.